you very much, especially for that introduction. I was wondering during the introduction whether perhaps it was somebody else that he was talking about. I could not imagine that he could be talking about me, but anyway, that's good. Uh, if it's deserved or undeserved, I will not make any comments. But one thing I did hear him say, he did hear Anand say, is that I think something about by making a U-turn from the study of physics to Vedanta, it was not a U-turn at all, and it was not even a turn at all. It was going straight ahead in exactly the same direction. I mean, even the great physicist who found or who expressed the basic rules of quantum mechanics, one of them said that Schrödinger, he said that possibly when physics goes further into these studies, it will find that consciousness is the basic element in the universe. And that is certainly and also Oppenheimer said when the first atomic bomb trial explosion was in New Mexico, he quoted from the Bhagavad Gita as rising as the sun rising in the sky. I mean, 1,000 suns rising in the sky. Such was the glory of the great one, that is the divine reality. So that is one thing. But another thing, as far as the philosophy is concerned, science points straight to religion. It doesn't, the scientists, if they will go straight ahead on the road, will find themselves in the spiritual domain. It is not, there's no turn at all. If the study of science goes further in that direction, instead of stopping at a certain point, they will have to go into the spiritual domain, and the ultimate reality of Brahman has to be the direction in which this investigation proceeds toward, because when one analyzes everything to its utmost degree, then one has to come upon consciousness, Sat, as being the ultimate reality of the universe, and everything else follows from that. Sadeva Somya Idam Agra Asit, that is from the Chandogya Upanishad, that Sat alone, that is existence alone, was there in the beginning. And even the Upanishad asks a scientific question. It says, some people say that Asat was the origin. In other words, non-existence or nothingness. You could say the void was in the original reality. And then the Upanishad said, how could that be? You know, that negativity was the only reality in the beginning. That is a self-contradictory statement. So the Upanishad says again, no, Sadeva Somya Idam Agra. Sat alone was, existence alone was there in the beginning. And in fact, existence alone is there right now. There is nothing else except existence, really. In this sense, and again, the Chandogya Upanishad uses this beautiful example. If you have a number of objects that are made of gold, say you have a bracelet, you have a ring, you have a a necklace, you have whatever. What is the relations? What is the relation among all these things? There are, Sri Ramakrishna also pointed out this idea that there are 5 things in our experience. Our total experience consists of 5 things. Sat, Chit, Ananda, Nama, Rupa. So if you analyze our experience, you find Nama Rupa is the name and form. That is our ordinary experience. And Satchidananda is what the sages say is the essence of everything. So it is only the Satchidananda which is covering the essence. Now, if you have a lot of objects made of gold, you've got an earring, you've got a necklace, you've got a golden plate, you've got all sorts of things that are made of gold. And you want to say, what is the essence of all these things? Now you could describe them all individually. This plate is shaped like that. It was made in this way. It has this characteristic. It has this use. And so many things. Those are name, form, and function. So many things can be described about the plate. Then about the earring, again, the same thing. These are all different. These are all the differences. But what is the reality of them? The name, form, and function is not the reality. This is the use it is put to. This is the history of its appearance like this. All these things are there, but the essence of it is not in any of those things. Name, form, and function do not contain the essence. The essence is gold. So this is a very scientific proposition that the essence of all of our experience, our daily experience deals with name, form, and function. That those are the characteristics of everything we do throughout the day. And at night when we dream, in our dreams also the same things are there. We deal with names, forms, and functions. But that is not the heart of it. The heart of it is something else. And the problem with our experiences in our lives is that we deal with name, form, and function only, and we expect to find the truth there. And that is what science does also. It has to go one more step that it hasn't done yet, but it's on the verge of doing it. Swami Vedananda saw that. He talked to Nikola Tesla, and he wanted to find out what is it, name, form, and function? What is it that is fundamental to all of them? What is it? What is the essence of reality? And Tesla said, oh, I think I can prove mathematically certain propositions, and I will try to get that to you. But Tesla never gave Swami Vivekananda that information. But a few years later, Albert Einstein did exactly that because he found that all of this, he put everything on a totally different basis and explained that name, form, and function is just, that's just the surface. There is something more fundamental to that. And of course, he called it energy, matter and energy, the equivalence of matter and energy. So all the manifestations that we deal with are equivalent. That Einstein was able to prove mathematically when Nikola Tesla could not. So this is the, I'm still reacting to that one statement that the wonderful introduction that Anand gave contained, that I made a U-turn in changing from science to spiritual pursuits. And I say it's not a U-turn, I'm continuing in the same direction. Uh, and if you go in that direction, if you look for the reality, when you eliminate all name, form, and function as being dealing with the surface of things, and inquire what is the essence has to be existence, sat, because that is the common characteristic of everything we talk about. It may exist physically as a physical object, or it may exist intellectually as a mental, as a psychological object, but it is not the object itself. It is an essence, the essence of the object. And if we pursue that within ourselves, that is the meaning of meditation. Meditation, we close our eyes and we look within, we meditate on the reality. The Upanishads tell us that within the heart, there's a reality. There's a light that we should meditate on. So that is the essence of our being. And so this is in the process of meditation, whether it's meditation on a form or meditation on the formless, whatever type of meditation it is, we're concentrating on the essence of things within. And when our mind reaches that state of being extremely quiet, as it reaches that state, it becomes more and more in contact with what is the essence. Instead of name, form, and function, it finds the gold that is the essence of every ornament that is made of gold, name, form, and function being superficial, the essence being gold. So in all of our experience, we deal only with name, form, and function. What is the essence? That is what we're pursuing. What is the essence? When it comes to gold ornaments, it's easy. You look at the ornaments, you find, yes, of course, it's gold. That is the one thing that is common to all of them. But when you look at the essence of everything, what is at the heart of every manifestation, you find its existence. And that existence is not an unconscious something. That existence is a conscious reality. It is consciousness itself. It can manifest with form or without form. But that is what we call, that is what we're trying to reach in meditation. By calming the exterior, we're able to reach that which is at the heart of every manifestation. It's because of the movement of the mind, the constant going back and forth, being busy with name, form, and function, that we're not able to see the essence. When we quieten our mind and concentrate in the region of our heart on something which is beautiful, which is inspiring, which lifts our mind out of the ordinary seeing of multiplicity, it goes to the essence of things. When the mind becomes very quiet, it approaches the essence of it. It approaches the perception that the gold in all these ornaments. And the gold in all these ornaments in a spiritual sense is Brahman, is God, is the infinite reality, is Sat, as the Upanishad says. Sat, existence, is the essence of all these things. So that is the still the the answer or the reaction to the accusation, I would say, that Anand made, that I made a deviation from the path of science. I feel that it is that if you follow the path of science, you come straight to that which is the essence of everything, because science is looking for the essence of everything. If it looks a little bit further, it will find it. Okay, so now I'm supposed to talk about the Katha Upanishad and related things, other scriptural references that can be, that are related to this same theme. Now, of course, once I start talking, who knows? It'll just go on and on. So at some time, when you all get terribly tired of all of this, then you should give me a sign. You should tell me, okay, that's enough, that's enough. Anyway, I will start with this, with what I think is probably next to that quotation from the Chandogya Upanishad that talks about Sat as the essence, as the original reality of everything, at the essence, at the heart of everything. Next to that, I think in the Katha Upanishad, two of the most significant verses are this. This is the second chapter, well, I guess the second book of the Katha Upanishad, section 1, verse 10. And is Yadeveha Tadamutra, Yadamutra Tadanviha. What is Yat Eva, indeed, Yad Eva Iha, here, Yat, that Amutra is there. Yad Amutra, that which is there, Tadanviha, Tat Anu Iha, that is again here. What is there is here. What is here is there. Then, so far, it's more confusing than enlightening. But the second line is the significant line. Mrityo samrityum apnoti ya ihana neva pasyati. Mrityo, from death, sa, he. Mrityum, death, apnoti, reaches death. From death, he goes to death. That is, he goes from death to death. Who is it who goes from death to death? In other words, who is born and dies and is born again and dies again innumerable times? Who is that? Ya iha naneva pasyati. Who here, nana, multiplicity, indeed, eva pasyati, sees. So who is it that goes from death to death? We all go from death to death. We were born, and this life will end, another life will start, and this will go on and on. But how long does it go on? Who is it that is subjected to that? The person who sees multiplicity here. But the Upanishad doesn't say he actually sees multiplicity. Nana iva. Iva, as though we're acting here, as though we're seeing multiplicity. Actually, what we're seeing is Brahman alone. What we're seeing is essence alone. But it appears that it is, we're seeing multiplicity. We're seeing houses and people and ideas and purpose and so many different things, both physically and psychologically, we're seeing, and we're seeing seeing them all as different. Actually, the Upanishad said, no, that is not so. The reality is that what is in one place is also the same that is in another place. There's no difference anywhere. Yadeveha tadamutra, what is here, that is also there. Yadamutra tadanviha, that which is there again is the same as what is here. Mrityo samrityo apnoti, he goes from death to death. Who does that? Ya iha naneva pasyati, who as it were, nana iva, as it were, seeing multiplicity. Really seeing, really the truth of the matter is we're seeing God alone. You think you see multiplicity? No, you're actually only seeing God, only seeing Brahman, only seeing the infinite and the eternal, but you're giving an interpretation, you're saying it is different, you're feeling it is different because you're not seeing the essence. You're looking at God and you're seeing men, women, houses, roads, cars, but the essence of what you're looking at, the reality of what you're looking at, is not in the multiplicity. The reality is in God, the infinite and the eternal that is at the heart of everything. The next verse says this same idea and expresses it in the same words, but adds a very important additional idea to that. And that is verse 11 of this section 2, subsection 1. This is verse 11 of the Katha Upanishad. Manasai Vedam Aptavyam. Manasa, by the mind, eva indeed, aptavyam, this is to be attained. So it's not something that, really speaking, it's not something that requires anything else. It is not something you don't really need in divine intervention to get to this. Oh, if I had been born in the time of Sri Ramakrishna, I would have realized all this. Now there's such a difficult time. No, that has nothing to do with it. It is in the possibility of everyone in their own minds to experience this. By the mind, all of us, any one of us can reach this manasai vedam aptavyam. By the mind, this is attainable. Aptavyam, this is attainable by the mind. And it doesn't require anything else. We are born as human beings, therefore we can realize God. It isn't that we have to be born and get, I mean, it's tremendously helpful to be in the company of great souls and to get the blessings of these highly evolved beings. That is a tremendous joy and a tremendous privilege and tremendous help. But really speaking, everyone, no matter what their circumstances, is capable. This is available to us all, having been born as human beings with consciousness, with self-consciousness, self-awareness. Every one of us is eligible and qualified and has that within their own capability of attaining it, this realization that God alone exists, that there is no multiplicity here. So the verse goes on, Manasai Vedam Aptavyam Nehanan Asti Kinchana, there is no multiplicity here. He goes, Mrityo Samrityam Gachati, Ya Ihanan Eva Pasyati. He goes from death to death, who here, as it were, sees multiplicity. We're not looking, we're seeing, we are interpreting what we see as multiplicity, but that is our problem. That is because we are only looking at the surface of things. At the heart of everything, there is God alone. So that is reachable, that is ascertainable to each and every one of us. So these are the, some of the marvelous ideas. Now, how do we proceed? Because we feel we don't see that, we want to see that. So various paths have been given to try to make that path more obvious to us, to lead us to that. So the point is, how do we then go about this? This is attainable to all of us. but we don't see the road. So what are the possible roads? What are the possible ways of attaining this? And one thing that is immediately obvious is that if this is the truth of everything, then that should be available to everyone all the time. Not only that, it should be something that is can be seen, can be reached, is immediately, that there's a path to it. It isn't that there's an impenetrable wall and you have to have some special form of grace or help in order to lift yourself above the wall and see what is on the other side. It is available to all of us, but then how do you find it around you? You look around you and you don't see anything like that. All you see is our name, form, and function. So how do you get closer to these ideas? How do you make these ideas practical? So the thing is to see that in every manifestation, to see in every manifestation, in every perception. One should see that. In the Katha Upanishad, there is a phrase, pratibodha viditam. Viditam, it is seen, it is known, or in every pratibodha, in every perception, Brahman is seen. So we're seeing, the statement is made that we're looking at Brahman, we're seeing Brahman in everything that we do. We're only dealing with Brahman. So that is so then what is how does one get that? It's a matter of changing our internal feeling, our internal perception to try to enable us to realize that. And for this, I will switch to the Bhagavad Gita briefly now for a few verses, and then perhaps get back to the Upanishad later. By the way, you'd better stop me somewhere along the line. Otherwise, I'll go on until everybody will be sound asleep and I'll be talking to myself. So at some point you should...
Maharaj, can I ask a question?
Yes. Anytime, any question, anytime.
No, we are normally kept muted and we are supposed to ask only at the end. But I think...
Oh, well, that's up to the organizers. You see, they can be as dictatorial as they want. I have no authority there. Yes, go ahead.
Maharaj, because we cannot. You told us that the verse number, but here the verse number, unlike Gita, see, Gita is chapter and the verse, but in Upanishad there is a chapter and then the second one and then the third one. So can you tell me in the form 1-1-1, like for the first verse, the two verses that you had mentioned?
Okay. Let me see if now I've already gone. Okay. It's 2-1-10.
2-1-10, okay.
And 2-1-11.
Okay, thank you. And you, according to you, and I'm taking it very seriously, that you think that these two are one of the most relevant verses in the entire Katha Upanishad.
Well, of course, the Katha Upanishad is so glorious. It has so many. I would hesitate to say, to ascribe any superiority to any particular verse. But I think those two verses are extremely significant, extremely practical. And they point to a very, very fundamental truth that we sometimes, or mostly we don't appreciate, that this is available to everyone, and it is something everyone can reach, and it is the fundamental condition which we should be living in all the time. And it puts it in such a simple way that it is, I think it's, I'm much enamored of those two verses. Yeah, and then the other one is the Chandogya Upanishad. I think that's in the 6th. There I don't have the exact verse, but I think it's in the 6th book of the Chandogya Upanishad. Now, so I'll go now to, in that same trend of thought, I'll go to a couple of verses in the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, the Gita is also an Upanishad. It's at the end of each chapter, it explains, it calls itself an Upanishad. So, and the teaching is very much like that. And in some cases, they say that Sri Krishna was actually in the Vedic tradition. So this is not to be considered as a separate later manifestation. Now, the chapter that I'm talking about in the Gita is chapter 13, and it's verse 27 and verse 28. Those are enormously significant and revealing. So, verse 27 of chapter 13 is Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram. So the key word is samam, the same. The same, what? Sarveshu Bhuteshu, in all beings. Tishtantam, standing or abiding. What is it that abides in all beings the same? Parameshwaram, the Supreme Lord abiding in all beings in the same way. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. Yes, who see, then the second line of that verse will finish the thought. So, vinashyatsu in the perishable, avinashyantam, the imperishable. Yah pashyati sa pashyati. So, who sees the imperishable in everything that is perishable? Who sees in the same way the Parameshwara, the Supreme Lord, abiding in all beings, the imperishable in everything that is perishable. He really sees. So he who sees the Supreme Lord as existing equally in all beings, as the imperishable among the perishable, he really sees. That is 1327. Now, then 1328 continues that thought. Samam pasyan hi sarvatra samavastitam ishwaram. So again, samam in the same way, pasyan, seeing in the same way, he indeed, sarvatra, everywhere, samavastitam ishwaram, the sta is to stand, so stitam is the Lord standing in everything. Samavastitam, avastitam could be manifesting here in this in this lower region in which we normally dwell, seeing this the Supreme Lord, Ishvara, abiding in the same way everywhere. Nahinasyat swan vinashyantam. That means the imperishable in that which perishes. So tato yati param gatim, he attains the supreme goal. And nahi nasya, so not injuring the self by the self. So he seeing, since by seeing equally God who is present alike everywhere, he does not injure the self by the self. Therefore, he attains the supreme goal. That is it. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavastitam ishwaram. Nahi nasti, he does not injure. Nahi nastyatmanatmanam, not injuring the self by the self. Tato yati param gatim. Therefore, he goes to the supreme, to the supreme goal. So that is the thing. It isn't that we have to go somewhere else or do something else. We have to simply open our eyes and see what is in front of us. What is in front of us is not name, form, and function. Those are on the surface of things. What is in front of us is the Supreme Lord, Parameshwaram. It is God alone that is in front of us in every respect. We're terribly concerned with name, form, and function, because that's for our practical life. We have to be concerned with name, form, and function. And that is fine. That is not a problem. But what is a problem is to have the idea that there's nothing else, that it's only that, and now we have to look for God. We have to somehow find God somewhere, whereas God is infinitely, intently present in front of us every moment. So seeing the imperishable in the perishable, that is what he said. Samavastitam Ishwaram, the Lord, seeing the Lord present everywhere. So this is at the heart of Vedanta. This is the seeing all these ornaments. Our whole life is everything that we perceive, every sight, every thought is made up of these things, that the essence and the surface. And we're so enamored and worried about and concerned with the surface, that is the only thing we see. We only notice the surface. But if we let our minds become quiet in meditation, the purpose is to quieten the mind. And then that enables us to see, when the mind becomes quiet, it is able to see what is really at the heart of everything, and that is God. That is the supreme reality. And this is also in the Yoga Sutras, the first verse or the second verse of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. It tells that at the heart of everything, when the mind becomes quiet, if we can quieten the mind, the reality that is hidden within the mind becomes visible. So that is the purpose of meditation. The purpose of meditation is to not to be distracted by what's on the surface, in order to be able to perceive, not just think about or wish for, but to actually perceive Samavastitam Ishwaram, the Lord is present in everything. That is the purpose of meditation. So then, of course, then the question comes, okay, is there any help to doing that? And for that, we also go to the Bhagavad Gita. Now, that is verse chapter 18, verse 66 of the Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam raja. So sarva dharman, all dharmas, all your activities and purposes and wishes and needs, just renouncing that aspect, renouncing the surface aspect of everything. Mamekam sharanam raja, just see me alone, or seek refuge in me alone. Why? Because I alone, that is the supreme reality, Krishna in this case, or Brahman, or whatever name you give it, seeing the supreme reality alone, you will attain all of this. Aham tva sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami mashucha. I will sarvapapebhya, from all papa, from all sins, mokshayishyami, I will cause you to be freed from. It's the causative form of the verb much, to the root, to free. Mokshayishyami, I will cause you to be freed from sarvapapebhya, from all sins. In other words, you will not be. The basic sin is to see duality. That is the sin we're all involved in. So the Lord frees us from that by taking refuge in Him. And how do you take refuge in Him? Mam ekam sharanam braja. So how do you take refuge in Him alone? By seeing the reality of God in everything, which brings us back to the Katha Upanishad, that everything is, what is here is there, what is there is here. There's no, the differences are merely superficial, the essence is the same. There is not, it's the perception that of difference. On the surface, the perception of difference is fine, but in our hearts we should realize on the surface the perception of difference is absolutely necessary, because we have to, if you're driving along a road and there's a little circle of light up there, it makes a great difference whether that happens to be of a red color or a green color. So perception of difference is essential for our ordinary life. But from that to jump to the conclusion that that this difference is the reality, there is nothing, there's no unifying vision behind the difference, that is the mistake. So going back to science, it is trying to see that unity among all the diversity. You can describe the diversity very accurately in a scientific way, and that is wonderful. But to stop there and say that that's all there is nothing more, that is the mistake. Because there is an essence behind that supports that multiplicity. It's like space. Oh, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a wonderful dialogue between Gargi and Yajnavalkya. Gargi is the lady who's a tremendous knower of Brahman, but she is asking the great sage Yajnavalkya. You know, she asked Yajnavalkya, what is the essence of everything? In other words, what is that reality which interpenetrates everything? And so there's a long discussion and a long, Yajnavalkya explains, this is beneath the surface of things, there is this reality. Then beneath that reality, there is a more fundamental concept and a more fundamental concept. And then finally, the most fundamental concept he comes to is space. Akasha. Akasha is that which penetrates everything, interpenetrates all manifestation at its most subtle level. Then Yajnavalkya, Akasha being space. Then Gargi asks Yajnavalkya, I have one more question. If you answer me this question, you will have answered everything. If you can't answer me this question, then we will not declare you as the greatest knower of Brahman. Anyway, so she asked her final question. Okay, you say that space interpenetrates everything, that everything is in space, everything is conditioned by space. You could say, protons, neutrons, electrons, or electromagnetic waves or something in modern terminology. Everything is made up of those things. So in her terminology, the Yajnavalkya said space is at the heart of everything because everything exists in space. Everything is pervaded by space. Without proper description of space, we could not describe anything. Then Gargi asks the clincher, the absolute final question. What is it that pervades space? What is it that is at the heart of space? What is it that is at the heart of everything that is at the heart of everything? She was a tremendous personality. Can you imagine even asking such a question? Oh, Yajnavalkya took it absolutely, calmly and praised her, her perception and said, that which pervades even that which pervades everything, that which pervades space, is the Supreme Brahman. Then he describes Brahman. That is what causes everything to happen in this universe. That is what causes the rivers on the west to flow to the east and the rivers on the east to flow to the west. This is what raises the mountains. That is what, he goes into description. Everything that happens is in this universe. At the heart of it all, at the core of it all, when you trace it to this absolute ultimate core, what you find is that imperishable reality, which is described elsewhere in the Upanishad, Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. And in the Radharanyaka Upanishad, Aham Brahmasmi, and those that is my reality, that is the reality of everything. So that is in other words, when you go to the very, very heart of everything, you come to Brahman, you come to the fact that there is this all-pervading consciousness in which everything moves and everything has its being, which is unchangeable, which is the very, change is impossible in that. In other words, if you trace all duality, what is the heart of everything we perceive? Well, molecules. What's at the heart of molecules? Well, atoms. What is the heart of atoms? Okay, protons, neutrons, electrons. What is at the heart of protons, neutrons, electrons? Then you come to quarks. And then you come to, now they can't even, they don't go, much further than that. But, some people talk of vibrating strings. What is at the heart of vibrating strings? See, we're asking the same questions that they asked in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Science is exactly following that same spiritual track, and so far science has left it as a question. It has not come up with an answer. Although Schrödinger said perhaps consciousness is the ultimate reality at the heart of everything. They did do that. They did talk about that. And they did, they are speculating that way. But they haven't quite gotten to the point that the Upanishads got to 5,000, 6,000 years ago. The most ancient Upanishads, Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka, they were fully informed about all these things, even from the most ancient days. So then how does that work for us practically in our everyday lives? That is the thing, to feel the presence of God within. That is at the heart. I mean, we can talk about the origin of things, and that gives us great satisfaction, but how do we make it real in our own lives? There you have to, realize there and other parts of the Katha Upanishad come in. Let me see if I can get to some of these things. One of those ideas is Om. And the Katha Upanishad has several verses on Om, which are very revealing. And for instance, he said, Sarve Vedayat Paramamananti. That goal, this is 1 to 15 of the Katha Upanishad. 1 to 15. Sarve Vedayat Paramamananti. Tapamsi Sarvani Chayad Vadanti. Yadichanto brahmacharyan charanti tatte padam sangrahena bravimi om ityetat. So what I will tell you what bravimi, I will tell you what all the Vedas proclaim. Sarve Veda yat padam amananti, that padam, that goal that all the Vedas proclaim. Tapamsi sarvani yadvadanti, that which all the austerities, tapas, all austerities vadanti speak of. Yadichanto brahmacharyan charanti, that which is sought after when people practice spiritual austerities. Tatte padam, to you, that goal, sangrahena, briefly, bravimi, I will tell you. Om ityeta, om iti, it is om. Now, then he goes on, etad yevaksham brahma, etad yevaksham param, and so forth. This letter, this is 1 to 16. This letter Om is indeed Brahman. And this letter is indeed the Supreme Brahman. Anybody who, while meditating on this letter Om, wants any of these, that comes to him. In other words, the goal, Om is the repetition of Om is the goal. But Om as being what Swami Vivekananda described, Om is A-U-M. It's A-U-M. Swami Vivekananda describes it. In other words, it's not Om, it's actually Aum. A-U-M. Now, what is the significance of Om? A is the sound that's made in the throat. U is the sound that's made in the mouth, roof of the mouth. The M is the sound that's made, is actually the lips are closed. In other words, the whole, from all of our sounds are made somewhere in the vocal apparatus. So Om is the essence of all sounds because it is the shows the gamut of how all sounds are created. Swami Vivekananda describes that, that trend of thought. So Om is symbolic of all sounds that can be made. And therefore, since all things that can be made are associated with words and thoughts, so Om is symbolic of everything that can be produced, of all ideas, of all objects, of the totality of our experience. So it is therefore used as a symbol of Brahman. And so the point is, some form of meditation, the word Om is always included. It's a way, by concentrating on Om, that is one of the spiritual practices. Or to see Brahman everywhere, to see, I'll talk some more about, let me see. Let me see, there was some, I wanted some more verses from the Katha Upanishad. And let me see. Yeah, one verse is 2:15. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yamagnihi. So this is the world that you're trying to reach. This is the experience one is trying to reach. Na tatra suryo bhati, the sun does not shine there. Chandra tarakam, not the moon nor the stars. Nema vidyuto bhanti, these lightnings do not light it. What to speak of this fire? This fire does not light it. But that reality being shining, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. In other words, God shining or Brahman shining, everything else shines. In other words, the shining of everything that we see as shining, the sun, the moon, the stars, lightnings, they don't shine by their own light. I mean, they have their own light, but that's not the essence of what is shining. What is shining is that Brahman, that reality at the heart of everything that shines. That is the question we should ask. At the heart of every perception, what is the essence? So at the heart of everything that gives us light, what is it that is at the heart of that which gives us light? Katha Upanishad also talks about that, what serves as light for a man. And then they list the sun, the moon, the stars, fire, then sound. Sound serves as a light for us. When all the lights are gone, we can follow a sound and reach certain places. So, but then you keep asking, what is the light of that? What is the light? In other words, what is the intelligence that in that? What is the guiding principle in that? As you go on down to everything that can possibly be a guiding principle to us, what is its guiding principle? What is the ultimate guiding principle? That is the presence of that divine reality. And that is the core of our meditation. We should feel the presence of God within, the presence of that guiding light. It can be a personal symbolism like Sri Ramakrishna, like Krishna or Rama, or it can be a symbol, whatever it is. Whatever it is, that is the ultimate guiding principle in our own, that becomes a symbol to us to reach that which is beyond all symbols, to reach that which is beyond all names, but is at the essence of all names, at the heart of everything That is the question. At the heart of everything, what is at the heart of everything? When everything else, is boiled down to its essence, what is it that remains? That is what we're trying to reach. And that is what when we sit and we meditate on a divine form, it's not just the form, it's the essence. What is say we're meditating on Sri Ramakrishna, what is the essence of Sri Ramakrishna? What is at the heart? What is that wonderful love, that wonderful purity, that wonderful devotion? What are they? What is that? And that is within me also. That is what we have to feel. And that is how we try to pierce through the wall of names and forms that keeps us from seeing the essence. Behind every form there is an essence, but we don't see it. Our vision stops at the form. So we try to go behind the form, and we try to do it physically by atoms, molecules, and all that, but that doesn't get us to the heart of the matter. What gets us to the heart of the matter is the heart, when we begin to feel the presence of God in every perception. Pratibodha viditam from the Katha Upanishad. At at the heart of every perception, we are to feel the presence of that reality. It is that reality alone which is at the heart of everything, and that we want to get a glimpse of. Then we see it's at the heart of our own self also. And the surface, we will see at the reality at the heart of everything. The unchangeable in everything that changes, as it's in those verses from the Gita. Pleasure to see you all again. Wonderful.